The week everything fell apart. Last week I experienced what I called a momentum collapse. Poor sleep cascaded into fatigue. Fatigue dismantled my routine. My routine's absence meant tasks piled up, then got dropped. By Wednesday, I was doom scrolling through a 2 week streak that had been quietly building into something real, now reduced to rumbled. Here's what hit me mid scroll. I had been running my life on willpower fumes, and the tank was empty. The tree, we treat willpower like it's renewable energy, infinite and always accessible. It is not. It's more like a phone battery that drains throughout the day, gets depleted by stress, sometimes mysteriously dies at 20% when you need it most. The high achievers watching this know the pattern. Everything works beautifully until it doesn't. One bad night, one stressful week, one unexpected crisis, and suddenly you're watching your carefully constructed life unravel in real time. This isn't about working harder or pushing through. This is about recognizing a fundamental design flaw in how we operate and building something better. The willpower trap. Why your best intentions keep failing. Mike Tyson said everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. Life specializes in face punching. The military has a version too. No plan survives contact with the enemy. And the enemy isn't external. It's entropy, fatigue, decision fatigue, and sheer unpredictability of being human. We don't rise to the level of our expectations. We fall to the level of our preparation. When I traced back by momentum collapse, the culprit wasn't laziness or lack of discipline, it was architectural. I had built my productivity on a foundation of optimal conditions. Great sleep, high energy, consistent motivation. I was a house of cards in a wind tunnel, looking stable until the first gust. Think about your own life. How many times have you set goals, felt fired up, executed perfectly for a few days or maybe even weeks, then watched it dissolve the moment conditions weren't perfect? You promised yourself you would work out every morning until you didn't sleep well. You committed to that side project until work got busy. You were going to finally tackle that big goal until life got lifey. The pattern reveals the problem. You're trying to make good decisions in real time, every time, using a resource, willpower, that's finite and unreliable. Every decision point is an opportunity for friction, hesitation, rationalization. Should I work out now or later? Do I really need to do this today? Maybe I'll start tomorrow when I have more energy. Each question depletes you further. By the time you've mentally negotiated with yourself 3 times before noon, you've already lost. Outsource your brain the power of predetermined decisions. Here's the shift that changes everything. Stop making decisions in the moment. Make them once and in advance, then execute. When my week imploded, I realized I was waking up every day and asking, what should I do today? That question, innocent as it seems, was the leak in my hull. It required me to assess my energy, review my priorities, weigh my options, and decide. All before I would had coffee, and all while still recovering from poor sleep. Predefined plans works because they eliminate the decision entirely. The plan says, today you do X at Y time. No negotiation, no assessment of whether you feel like it, no mental loops about whether it's really necessary. When you outsource decision making to a predefined plan, you reclaim the mental energy you've been hemorrhaging on micro negotiations with yourself. This isn't about being rigid or robotic. It's about recognizing that your present moment self is a terrible judge of what you should do. Present you is tired, distracted, subjected to immediate pressures and emotions of right now. Past you, the one who made the plan when you were clear-headed and aligned with your goals, is a much better decision maker. Think of Think of it like this. Pilots don't decide mid-flight whether they should check their instruments or follow protocol. The checklist was created by experts who anticipated every scenario. When turbulence hits or something goes wrong, they don't deliberate, they execute the predetermined response. That's not rigidity, that's survival. Your morning routine, your your work blocks, your exercise schedule, this shouldn't be daily negotiations. They should be predetermined protocols that activate regardless of how you feel. Flexible system planning for 30% days. But here's where most productivity advice goes off the rails. It assumes you always have 100% capacity. It builds plans for your best self and expects that self to show up every single day. And that is fantasy. Some days you were firing on all cylinders. Other days you're operating at 30% capacity. The breakthrough isn't having a plan that works at 100%. It's having a plan that adapts to 30%. If 30% of your energy is available, then 30% becomes today's 100%. Execute at the level you're at, not the level you wish you were. This is where the flexibility comes in. The system should have built-in scaling. What does the 100% version of your day look like? What about 70? What about 30? When I rebuilt my approach, I created 3 tiers. Tier 1, full capacity. All system goal, full workouts, deep work sessions, evening projects, the whole architecture. Tier 2, moderate capacity. Core essentials only. Abbreviated workouts, must-do work tasks, basic maintenance. Tier 3, survival mode. The absolutely minimum. Maybe just a 10-minute walk and protecting sleep or completing one critical task. The key is deciding these tiers in advance. When you wake up depleted, you don't wonder what you do. You recognize this is a tier 3 day and execute a protocol. No guilt, no negotiation, no pretending you are 100% when you're not. This approach does something profound. It maintains momentum even when you're not at your best. Tier 3 keeps you in motion, and something in motion tends to stay in motion. Even slow motion beats standing still. Start first, let inspiration follow. There is a pervasive myth that you need to feel motivation to take action. It is backwards. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. When I was stuck in that doomscrolling spiral, waiting to feel like it, doing productive work was a trap. The feeling wasn't coming, but when I finally just started, even half-heartedly, executing a small piece of my Tier 3 protocol, something shifted. Don't wait for inspiration to start. Start to find inspiration. This is one of those insights that sounds like motivational poster nonsense until you experience it viscerally. The reason it works is neurological. Action triggers dopamine release. Dopamine improves focus and motivation. Focus and motivation make the action easier. It's a virtuous cycle, but you can't access it until you begin the loop. Think about the last time you really didn't want to work out, but forced yourself to start anyway. 5 minutes in, your resistance dropped. 10 minutes in, you were locked in. That wasn't willpower. That was biochemistry responding to movement. The same applies to any task. The writing you're dreading, absolutely hell to start, but tolerable once you're at your words in. The project you're avoiding, overwhelming in contemplation, manageable once you've taken the first concrete step. Your predetermined plan handles this automatically. It gets you to the starting line. It doesn't ask you are inspired or motivated. It just says, this is what happens now. And once you're in motion, inspiration has a chance to catch up. Awareness, the prerequisite for change. None of this works without the first essential ingredient, awareness. I had to recognize I was in a momentum collapse before I could address it. I had to notice the pattern. Poor sleep leads to fatigue, leads to routine breakdown, leads to task abandonment, which leads to doom scrolling. Before I could interrupt it, you can solve a problem you haven't acknowledged. Awareness is the prerequisite for every meaningful change. This might be obvious, but it is remarkable how many of us operate on autopilot, watching our lives drift without actively noticing the drift. We are too busy, too distracted, too overwhelmed to step back and assess what's actually happening. Build in regular check-ins with yourself, weekly reviews, daily reflections, whatever cadence works, but make it systematic. Ask, what is working? What's not? Where am I relying on willpower instead of systems? Where did I fail? And more importantly, why? This is where the same mistakes twice principle comes in. Every failure is data, but only if you analyze it. When my week fell apart, I could have chalked up to a bad week and moved on. Instead, I treated it like a failure analysis. What was the root cause? Poor sleep? Why did poor sleep cascade so dramatically? Because my entire system required optimal conditions. What's the fix? Build resilience into the system through tiered protocols. One failure, one analysis, one systematic improvement. That mistake won't happen the same way again because I've engineered it out of my system. The anti-fragile approach, systems that get stronger under stress. Nassim Taleb introduced the concept of anti-fragility, systems that do not only withstand stress but actually improve because of it. Your productivity system should be anti-fragile. When things go wrong, and they will, your system shouldn't just survive, it should evolve. Every breakdown is an opportunity to identify a weakness and reinforce it. Every momentum collapse is a chance to build better fail-safes. This is the opposite of hustle culture, which says, push harder, work more, overcome through sheer force of will. That approach creates brittle systems that look impressive until they shatter. What we're building here is resilient. It works when you are at your best, it scales down when you are not, it maintains momentum through disruption. And most importantly, it learns from failure to become progressively more robust. The irony is that this approach, the one that plans for your 30% days and doesn't rely on feeling motivated, actually leads to more sustained high performance than the willpower dependent approach ever could. Because you're still moving forward even when you're not at your peak. Those compounding gains over time, they dwarf the occasional heroic willpower-fueled sprint. What is one area where you currently rely on willpower that could be turned into a predetermined system instead? So let me know in the comments. So let me know in the comments what is one area where you're currently relying on willpower that could be turned into a predetermined system instead. Cheers.